It is dusty and hot. You are sitting by the side of the road near the outskirts of the city. People have been coming and going all day, passing you by. Perhaps one, maybe two, have stopped briefly to toss you a coin. It lands in the dirt. You hear it fall, but being blind, you cannot see it. So you search with your hands on the dusty ground, find it, and secret it away in your cloak. Hopefully, it'll be enough for some bread and a cool drink at the end of the day. Though there's not much for you to do as you sit there by the side of the road, you hear brief snatches of conversation as people pass on their way to and from the city. There's talk of an itinerant teacher, a prophet, some say. He speaks with authority about God, the Father, and has cured many as well. But he cannot be important, can he? Our leaders and holy teachers, the Sadducees and Pharisees, say he's an imposter, just a troublemaker who threatens the peace and may bring the strong hand of the Romans down upon us. Yet you are curious. But no one will speak to you, a blind beggar, an outcast, assumed to have done something to deserve your fate. Then the noise begins to grow. A crowd is coming. It is the teacher. You cry out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." You've surprised yourself addressing this important rabbi, but you suddenly couldn't help yourself. Hope has grown in your heart. This must be the one sent by God to save Israel. The people around you tell you to be quiet, but you cry all the more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And you sense a change. The crowd has stopped moving. Now there are people telling you, "Take heart, get up, he is calling you." You leap up and come forward, and Jesus speaks directly to you. "What do you want me to do for you?" Boldly, without giving it any thought, you say to him, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus says to you, "Go, your faith has made you well." Suddenly, after years of blindness, you have your sight restored. You see the teacher, the crowd around you, and as the teacher moves on, you know you must follow him on the way. What a powerful story. And even more so when you place yourself into the middle of it. It's not easy to imagine the world as someone who is blind. As children, some of us may have played blind man's bluff or pin the tail on the donkey, in which they wrap a scarf around your eyes. Some children can't even play those games. It's just too frightening not to be able to see, even for a few moments as part of a game. Suddenly, everything becomes unknown. It must have been even more arresting for Bartimaeus to suddenly have his sight back. Yet he did not hesitate. He immediately followed Jesus on the way. Now, we have been following Jesus on the way in our gospel readings this fall. Jesus has made clear the way leads to the cross, not to wealth, not to power, but to suffering and death. The disciples do not get it. They cling to worldly ideas of glory, fame, honor. The rich young man turns away, his many possessions keeping him from following. But Bartimaeus, a blind beggar, recognizing Jesus for who he is, follows him without hesitation on the way. Who is the one who is blind in this story? Think about the crowd that followed Jesus. the 12 disciples and others who were considered disciples as well. When Bartimaeus calls out to Jesus, honoring Jesus as the Son of David and asking for mercy, what is their response? Go away, don't bother the teacher. They try to silence him. They do not want this blind beggar, this social outcast, to trouble their famous rabbi. They want Bartimaeus to remain invisible, unseen, silent. Are they concerned about Jesus or themselves? This dirty beggar, blind, must be a sinner, must be unclean. He cannot be allowed to come closer. Who is the one blind in this story? Is it not those that were following Jesus? In Mark's gospel, we've seen and heard over and over again that those who were closest to Jesus were blind and deaf to his most basic teaching about the kingdom and about what was to come in order to make way for the kingdom. And I wonder, where do you and I fit in? Are we Bartimaeus? Are we following without hesitation the way of Jesus? Or are we blind like the crowd around Jesus and like his disciples who miss the mark, who do not want or are afraid to let go of those things that keep us from truly following in the way that Jesus leads? Perhaps we refuse to see or listen to those like Bartimaeus who need our help, who need us to bring them the love and healing that God is offering in and through Jesus Christ. It's a risky thing, this following of Jesus. We cannot remain blind to those in pain and need. We cannot be comfortable with wealth, power, and status. Even Bartimaeus, blind, a beggar, and social outcast, had something to lose. He had his place in his society. Yes, it was a lowly one, but after years, it would have been what he knew best. Then Jesus gives him his sight. It would have changed much in his life. He now has a greater potential to earn a living in his hometown, to have greater security. Yet he leaves it behind, knowing by faith that Jesus is the one sent by God and that he must follow wherever Jesus leads the way. Is there something Jesus is asking you to leave behind? Where is the blindness in your life? We can ask these questions as individuals, but also as a parish. Jesus is challenging us to risk the comfort and security of what we've always known. And he is leading us into the new, leading us into the kingdom of God. The way is not certain. And we, like Bartimaeus, will be changed. We will be given new insight. We need only to say yes to Jesus and to follow where he leads.